Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon. Today we're looking at the Ferdinand. We're following around Oni-chan, and the map is Airfield. The Ferdi is a Tier 8 German tank destroyer. It's one of the first tank destroyers in the game, and so it's a little bit dated. One of the reasons why I say that is because the layout is based on armor thickness rather than armor angles. So the superstructure of the hull of the Ferdi has 200mm effective protection. You can see it right there, the areas beside the gun. The problem is that's straight up and down. Another problem is that over time in World of Tanks, I mean the game's been out for almost, 3 years now? Penetration values have crept up, both in tanks that have been newly released and both in the changes of the game, like premium ammo for credits. So at the beginning of the game, the Ferdinand had actually substantial armor protection. I played near release and it was very strong frontally. The problem is that now it's not very strong frontally. So just taking a look at the tanks that are opposite us, the Tiger 1 has over 200 penetration, can go right through the front, ditto on the T25AT. The Super Pershing over there can load premium ammo to go right through the front. The IS-3 can naturally go through the front. The T-69 can load premium ammo, is probably shooting heat anyway. Things like the T-34, the FCM, all these tanks are out there that can just go right through the front of the tank, meaning that the Ferdinand has some difficulty in frontal engagements. The gun is showing its age as well. It does have a respectable 490 alpha and a respectable 240 odd penetration on the base round. Those are going to be pretty good. However, the tanks that have been released since when World of Tanks came out, and now it just puts the Ferdi to shame. You have autoloaders, you have things like the Roomba where there's 750 alpha on a Tier 8 tank. Mediums like the Object 416 deal just as much damage per minute on a vastly more mobile and camouflaged platform. I mean, the Ferdi just gets outclassed in a lot of things. And it's not everything that's old is crap. I mean, the IS-3 is still highly regarded and widely used in competitive environments. It's just that tanks that relied on armor thickness as a big reason why the tank existed, they've had problems over the years as penetration levels have gone up. Here, a Tiger 1 just put a shot right through the thickest part on the tank. I mean, there's not a lot you're going to do there when your opponents just straight up don't care about your largest defensive asset. Well, you don't really have a whole lot else. The Ferdi, as you can see, just does not have the mobility. It does not have the camouflage that some other tanks have. So defensively, it's just not a great tank. You have to sit in the back, and then when it's your time to die, well, then it's your time to die. Offensively, it's pretty mediocre. Again, does not have the alpha that other tanks do. It doesn't have an autoloader. You're just kind of limited on what you can do with the Ferdi. The gun is also mounted on the rear of the tank. This makes going around corners more difficult than it would be with something like the ISU, where the gun is right on the front. You can peek, it minimizes exposure. Unlike most other rear-mounted guns, though, you can see that the gun depression is very good at 8 degrees. You will be able to play on a sufficient amount of hills, and if there are tanks that don't know that they can shoot the casemate or near the gun, then you can bounce some shots. Once they figure it out, though, it's all over. Another pro of the tank is that wide gun traverse that makes it very comfortable. You don't have to turn the tracks and enlarge the reticle a lot of times. You also get some very nice accuracy with the gun and a low aim time. So the gun is pretty workable for the most part. It's just the rest of the tank around the gun is what you hate. So most of what Oni-chan has been doing is abusing the reload of his opponents or just simply hitting them when they're not looking. He's up close and personal at the battle because the Ferdi doesn't have the mobility or the camouflage to flank something, so you might as well be right up there and just kind of pop out when the opponent isn't really paying attention or when he has fired on somebody else. I hate to just dump on the Ferdy so much because I realize there are a lot of people out there who do enjoy the tank. But it's really hard when there's just the superior version of the tank right by it. The JP2, the Tier 8 German tank destroyer, has the exact same gun. It's a mobile platform. And yeah, the listed armor isn't good on it, but the effective armor is actually the same. So the Ferdy has thicker armor, but it's straight up and down. The JP2, the mantlet, which covers up nearly the whole casemate on top, is pretty hard to penetrate, if not impossible. And even the sides of it are just as strong effectively as the sides of this massive casemate that the Ferdy has. So the JP2 just outclasses the Ferdy in darn near everything, and it's really hard to recommend anyone playing the Ferdy for I don't know why you would play it, but if you want to play it, go to it, that's great, but there's no logical reason to do so. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.